Hope you're doing well today. The question today is, can college help us become law enforcement officers? Let's discuss. Listen, thank you again for all the well wishes. Me and my family are definitely feeling a lot better after getting the flu. It was a brutal one, so I hope none of you catch it. It's just not anything I wish for anyone. Anyway, before we get started, listen, those gifts are still down in the description for you. Getting started as a law enforcement officer, it's going to walk you through the entire hiring process, prevent you from making any mistakes that most candidates wind up making. Free workshop from me to you. Also, if you have something more specific that you want to discuss one-on-one, that free coaching call with myself is down below. I'd be happy to sit down with you, discuss any issues you have, and then see how I can help you move forward. All right. Can college help you become a law enforcement officer? And the easy answer to this is yes. However, this is not an easy question because the issue is, will it prevent you from becoming a police officer? And that answer is no. So you've heard me say this before, about 50% of law enforcement have their associate's degree. The other 50% don't have any degree. And then about 30% of those, 30% of all law enforcement have their bachelor's degree. So 70% do not have a bachelor's degree. It is a great way to stand out. However, in today's world and economy, with the way that degrees are going through the roof, I mean, you can't even get an associate's degree from a community college anymore for anything less than $10,000 or $15,000, and that's if you're lucky. You know, if you're just paying straight out of pocket, I mean, each semester is running somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000, and you got 4 semesters just to get an associate's degree. If you knock everything out right off the bat, and you don't have to take any additional classes, say if you have to take an extra math class or extra writing class or anything like that. So should you get a degree before applying to law enforcement? And here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're already in your degree pipeline and you already have it mapped out and you already know how you're going to pay for it, keep doing what you're doing. I'm not telling you not to go get a degree. I have my degree. I have my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I was pursuing a law degree at a certain point, but it's not needed. You don't need to have these extravagant degrees to become a law enforcement officer. Does it help down the line if you want to promote? Yes, but that's not until you get to pretty senior positions, such as if you're trying to apply for a commander position or a chief position, something pretty high up in a department where having a master's degree may make you stand out a little bit more. But really, just having a bachelor's degree already puts you in the top 30% of all police officers in the nation. So the question here is, do you go after getting a degree first? Well, let's look at what we have here. If you're under the age of 21, you really can't apply to become a police officer. Let me rephrase that. You can apply to become a police officer, but you can't become a police officer until the age of 21 because you have to be legally allowed to carry a firearm, which is 21. That's not gospel, right? That doesn't apply. There's a lot of, police candidate positions where you can start at 20. There's a lot of things out there that can change that, but that's pretty much the standard, right? You have to be 21 to become a police officer in the United States. The issue that you run into here is it worth dumping 70 grand, or we'll say 50 grand. Let's just say you can get your bachelor's degree for 50 grand, which is an amazing price in today's day and age to be able to come out with a bachelor's degree if you're paying straight out of pocket, or if you're taking out loans, which is never a good idea unless you have a significant way to pay them back. Anyway, that's not what this is about. So let's say 50 grand. Do you want to start off 50 grand in debt with these interest loans from the government and however they work? I've never taken out a loan for college, but do you want to go that route? My my suggestion, right, the way I did it is no, I don't want to do that. So what can you do to still stand out? Well, here's my suggestion. I I would recommend work on experience rather than education to start off with. If you can't afford a degree, if you can afford a degree and you have the time, go for it. But if you're 21, my suggestion to you would be to go after a position first, get the experience, start off, whether that's, I always say, if you want to be law enforcement, don't go into corrections, but it's a good stepping stone if you want to. You can start off with corrections if you wanted to. You can start off as a reserve officer. You can start off as a term officer. If there's term positions, you can start off at a smaller agency. Whatever you want to do to get experience, you can start off with unarmed or armed security. If you need to kill more time, say you're not 21, but if college and the idea of taking out loans does not appeal to you, don't do it. And here's my reason why. And we discuss this in my one-on-one coaching and our group coaching that I have with my clients. There's programs out there that once you become a police officer, you can get your entire degree, whether that's associates or you want to pursue all the way to bachelor's, for free. So imagine you're already working, you're getting paid, and you're able to go through, you're getting paid as a police officer, and you're able to go pursue your criminal justice degree to better yourself and to maybe open up bigger job opportunities in the future. And you can do it all while you're working. These degree programs are fully online. They're through, accredited colleges and universities, and it's a great option. And as I said, I discuss all this in my group coaching and my one-on-one coaching, but these are the type of options that are out there for you. So my answer is no, you don't need college. I got my first police officer position without any college, right? It was a term position with the National Park Service. I was recruited right from the academy, right? As I've said before in one of my videos, I paid for my first academy because in order to work for the National Park Service, you have to put yourself through an academy first. I paid for my academy. I invested in myself. I got my EMT certification, which made me stand out a little bit more. And then when they needed a law enforcement ranger in the park that I wanted to work in, my dream park with my dream position, they came to the academy, and I was a good candidate with no college. And there was a lot of other candidates there with college, a lot of other candidates. I mean, I was probably one of the few that didn't have a degree under my belt. So they came through. I had I had my veteran preference, right? So I had a little bit of experience with kind of paramilitary structures through being a veteran. And then I just had a lot of other useful experience, like my EMT certification from investing in myself, that really, when they came, they said, "Hey, we'd like to interview you." They interviewed me. I hadn't passed my EMT National Registry test yet, so they were waiting to hear back from that. And as soon as I passed, they said, "Hey, yes, definitely, you're an EMT. We want to hire you." And they hired me for my first term position, which led to significant other law enforcement positions and instructorships and me climbing the corporate ladder in law enforcement. So when it comes to your degree, it is not necessary to have it. And I would highly recommend, rather than put yourself in debt and take out loans, I would highly recommend gain experience in other ways that make you stand out rather than put yourself in debt, and then utilize some of these great programs that are accessible to law enforcement officers and go that route. Now, if you've already done college, don't despair. A lot of departments right now are offering tuition reimbursement. Now, it's probably not going to cover your entire tuition. Most of the time, it's usually at a community college rate or a locality rate, but it might help out a little bit with your financial costs of your degrees that you pursued prior to becoming a law enforcement officer. I'm also not putting down going to college. It's a great way to gain education. There's a difference between education and experience. That's one thing that everyone should know. While education is great, it does not match experience. And the same thing, experience isn't education. You can't sit here and say, "Hey, I've been a cop for 4 years." That's equivalent to me having my bachelor's degree. It's not the same in today's society. So They are looked at different things. Whether someone puts a higher value on education or experience, that comes down to your hiring official. But I will say this is experience is great to get your foot in the door. Education is great when you want to climb up that corporate ladder. If you have education, it looks like, hey, this individual has showed a commitment. They've studied, they've taken not only their experience, but they've taken it and invested in themselves to expand their education. So, and education tends to stay with the current trends in society. So that's another reason people look at it as a useful tool. Rewinding here, let's get back to it, right? So do you need college? Absolutely not. There's, as I said, there's 50% of law enforcement out there don't even have an associate's degree. So half of law enforcement doesn't have an associate's degree. Will college make you stand out a little bit more going through the hiring process? Absolutely it will. If you have a degree, you're going to stand out. However, if you can find a way to gain experience, which there's plenty of ways out there to gain experience and stand out as much as college would make you stand out, then you're not behind the curve, you're not ahead of the curve. You're evenly matched with anyone who has a degree, for the sheer fact that experience, as I said, starting off is probably sought after more, right? So police department would much rather take a lateral than a new hire, right? They don't have to invest as much money into them. They don't have to send them to the academy. They don't have to send them to to all the additional trainings that you're going to need, such as a code course. If you need to go to, like, you can take the academy in a state, but then a local municipality might have a code course, like a 2-week code course, where you have to go through that course and learn local ordinance or something along those lines, right? If you've already had that, or maybe it's a county ordinance. If you've worked in that county with the sheriff's department and you're transferring to a local PD, you're going to be higher sought after for that experience, rather than, if you had your bachelor's or your master's degree or even your associate's degree. But if you're a new hire, your degree is going to, hey, this individual has a degree. That's great. They invested in themselves. They're highly educated, opposed to an individual of, hey, this person doesn't have a degree and they don't have really any experience. They might not be our top candidate. But then again, if that person is stellar on their written tests, their physical tests, and they pass all their conditional, their polygraphs, everything that you need to do to become a police officer to get through the hiring process, it doesn't mean that, hey, well, we're not going to hire this individual. We're going to wait to see what happens with the individual who has their degree. No, they're going to take the first qualified applicant that comes along, unless, especially, let me rephrase that, unless they have an applicant that's sitting on a conditional offer, say, hey, we really want this applicant. We're going to give them a conditional offer where hey, we're going to wait around till they finish all their conditional, their medical, their poly, all that they need for their conditional hire to become an official hire. They're gonna wait on that individual because they've already extended a conditional offer. If that individual fails to meet that condition, such as doesn't show up or doesn't schedule those things, that conditional offer is immediately withdrawn. If you're another candidate and you're sitting there and you've had the best PT scores, you've had the best writing scores, or the best testing scores, I should say, written testing scores, you did phenomenal during the interview, all of these things are going to stand out to an individual. And someone with their degree is going, hey, this person has their degree, but if that's all they have going for them, it's not going to do much. And they're not going to look at a degree as experience. Or, hey, yeah, I know exactly what it's like to be a police officer. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. No, unfortunately, you don't know what it's like to be a police officer. And I say this about any profession out there, or anything any hobby, any profession. You never know what you're getting into until you actually experience it. So everyone has this, what's the term I'm looking for? Everyone fantasizes about what a job will entail, or what their dream job entails. And then they do it and they say, hey, there's a lot more trivial tasks that I need to do in this job, rather than what I originally thought, based on what my professors say, or individuals that I know who really brag about the profession, whether this is law enforcement or any profession. And then they get there and they say, wow, I didn't know that all this would be in here. Well, that's life, right? Now, that doesn't it shouldn't deter you from doing a job or a profession that you love and you've dreamed of always doing. But just know that you never know what you're getting into until you actually do it. So, and things change all the time, right? So what you do for the first 3 years of law enforcement might be different, because you might get promoted to detective, or you might get promoted to sergeant. And then all your tasks change, and now you're supervising officers rather than out there working with them 24/7. So keep this type of stuff in mind. When you're going through and you have your degree, you have a good understanding of the legal aspects of what it takes to be a law enforcement officer, and the operations that of structure that we want law enforcement to follow all the times. But things change dramatically, and rapidly evolving situations, as the Supreme Court explained, and and has case law on. That's a law enforcement officer's job. Be prepared to deal with things that you can't be prepared to deal with, and then make the right decision in a split second. So when it comes to school, do you need it? No. Should you go get it? You can. I wouldn't put yourself in debt over it, though. Definitely don't put yourself in debt over it, especially because once you become a law enforcement officer, reach out to me. I'll help you become a law enforcement officer. Once you become one, we can get your whole degree for free. And the next time we open our group coaching or our one-on-one coaching, jump on there, join it. You'll be able to see how these programs are sitting out there. My old partner just finished his bachelor's degree through college, or through a great university, I should say, and didn't pay a single penny out of pocket. And he did all his classes online while he was working and getting paid, and being, he's a supervisor now. So he was able to do all this, and it wasn't stressful. He was taking one class at a time, and he managed to knock it out in just a couple of years. So the other thing that you need to take into account is, if you have a police academy under your belt, which, if you wait to get hired on with the department, you can take all that training and transfer it to a school for college credits, significantly limiting the amount of classes you need to take. So you take your academy and everything you've done in your academy, and you transfer that over, and that knocks out full classes that you have to take, a lot of them being core classes and things that you would be mandatorily forced to take. And you can utilize some of your electives to take some of those better courses that you want, such as legal foundations if you're really into legal, or criminal investigations if you're saying, like, hey, I want to become a detective or a special agent. So no, you don't need college. I'm not telling you if you're in college to quit. I am saying, though, that you can get college if you want to become a police officer, if you want to become a law enforcement officer in any aspect where you're a sworn law enforcement officer. You can get college 100% for free. I help my clients out every single day with this, as I said, in our group coaching or our one-on-one coaching. And it can save you literally $50,000 to $80,000. So keep that in mind. I hate to see individuals put themselves in debt to try and become a law enforcement officer when that's their profession. You should be using that to, one, earn a living, provide for your family, serve your community. Of course, I'm not telling you to just get into law enforcement for the money, although people highly underestimate how much money can be made in law enforcement. But you can go in, you can become a law enforcement officer first, go back through, get your degree. And that's what I encourage individuals who are not in college now. Hey, unless you really want to go back through college and go get your degree first, which I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying, if you want, I would suggest become a law enforcement officer first, take college courses, each semester, take mini-semester, 8-week courses, knock out a course or 2 courses a semester, knock out a bunch of courses all at once by submitting your academy transcripts for transfer credits, and you'll be able to knock out your bachelor's degree way faster and without a single penny out of pocket. All right. Before I let you go, remember those gifts are down below for you. If you want to know how the whole process works and you don't want to make the mistakes everyone else makes on their police hiring paperwork, take the Getting Started workshop. It's going to walk you through everything you need to know. It's simple, it's quick. Just sign up, and it's just going to walk you through everything. if you got something more specific, I'm here for you. Go ahead, sign up for a coaching call. I'd be glad to sit down and talk with you, discuss anything you have specific to you, and see where I can help you out and help you in the future to achieve your goal of becoming a law enforcement officer. As always, stay safe. Those links are down in the description below, and I will see you next time.